Thank you, Justin. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of everyone at SMMT, welcome to the 2019 International Automotive Summit. Now, we always seem to have these well-timed, these summits. 2016, we had a referendum. 2017, a general election. Last year, Brexit discussions at a critical point. And we thought, when we come to 2019, we'd have a degree of certainty. Obviously, we're not. We're now in the midst of a conservative leadership contest that could ultimately determine our competitive future. Now, you may recall, I began last year quoting Dickens. Given the automotive industry likes to modernize, I'm going to start with a quote from a 21st century Nobel Literature Prize winner, no less. So, come gather round people wherever you roam and admit that the waters around you have grown. You better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. Bob Dylan, of course. But change has been our sector's constant for over 100 years. From horse-drawn to horsepower, coach-built to mass-produced, mobility for the few to freedom for the many. Now, today, those waves of change threaten to submerge this industry. The internal combustion engine becomes the battery electric motor. The driver becomes driverless. Analog becomes digital. Industry could cling to old ways, old technologies, a consumer often resistant to change. But that would guarantee that we are drowned out by new entrants. As Dylan said, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. So we will continue to adapt, continue to innovate, and continue to make the case for a competitive and successful UK automotive sector. But success will depend on how we respond to transformational change, how we meet the challenges and opportunities of technological, societal, and geopolitical change. Let's look at climate change, for instance, and how that is changing the current political narrative. The UK government is committing to net zero. It may be the first country in the world to do so, but it won't be the last. But the industry, this industry, is already committed, is already investing. It has been for many years, and you can see the fruits of that commitment. Battery electric vehicles, hydrogen plug-in vehicles. These vehicles don't suddenly appear in response to a stated government ambition or a stakeholder criticism. Vehicle development takes years. Technological shift takes decades. So industry wants to scale up. The massive R&D outlay behind these technologies demand it. But to do so, we need to change early consumer interest into consumer demand. So government must therefore match their long-term commitment, ambition with long-term commitment. To deliver net zero, we need a plan. Now, this is not the field of dreams. We are certainly not in Iowa, and I'm not Kevin Costner, and I don't believe in a strategy of build it and they will come. This means we need infrastructural investment, long-term incentives, fiscal support for these technologies. Government must recreate the conditions that attract investment, help retrain the workforce, deliver critical new skills. Such a transformation will have consequences. Some will be positive, but as the Committee on Climate Change acknowledged, some are potentially negative for parts of our industry, for livelihoods, for regions. So some tough political choices will be necessary. Change won't come cheap. But the UK industry can adapt. We need the time and conditions to do so. If we push too fast, if the delivery measures aren't there, we will miss the goal, and the UK industry and all who depend on it will suffer. And the cost of such decline will be felt across the economy, as the importance of this sector cannot be understated. Now, the UK may be an island, but our industry cannot operate as one. Our success depends on trade, global trade, and the UK's export strength depends to a large extent on automotive trade. Today, we've published a report setting out for the first time that independence. So let me give you some of the evidence. Let's rewind back to 2009, when the global financial crisis wiped out more than 10 years of steady growth in UK automotive trade. We're down to making barely 1 million cars, a supply chain that was hollowing out. Total automotive trade was 47 billion. Fast forward to 2018, That figure is now 101 billion. And just on current capacity, we could readily grow a further 20% to 122 billion if the conditions were right. Rather than making 1 million cars, we now export over 1.2 million cars. We're the UK's single biggest exporter of goods, accounting for more than 14% of total goods exported. The UK itself is the world's 10th biggest exporter. But take out automotive, and we fall to 14th, behind Canada, Mexico, and, with all due respect, Belgium. Automotive matters to UK trade. It matters to the economy. More than £18 billion goes directly to the public purse every year. 168,000 livelihoods depend on us. We have world-famous brands producing high-value goods, creating skilled jobs. We have a sophisticated supply chain, a dedicated workforce, engineering excellence, modern infrastructure, and the technological know-how to keep Britain at the forefront of innovation and competitiveness. Our success has at its foundation free trade. But trade conflicts, whether it be the US and China, Mexico, or Europe, are already sending ripples towards the UK. Destabilisation of global trade will destabilise the UK. Add in Brexit, and even the EU is no longer a safe haven. Now, trade with Europe is the bedrock of our industry, accounting for more than half of our exports. Add in the other markets with which we have preferential trade agreements through the EU, and over 2/3 of all automotive trade is on preferential, not WTO terms. Brexit remains the clear and present danger to the UK automotive sector. We've been saying the same thing every day since the referendum was announced. We need frictionless trade. Competitive just-in-time manufacturing doesn't work without it. Friction adds costs, friction adds delays. Every minute of delay, every minute of production stop would cost the UK industry £50,000 every single minute. Tariffs, meanwhile, would add billions of pounds to the detriment not just of the industry, but also to the detriment of the consumer. So I will repeat yet again, we need a deal. No deal is not an option. We've already seen the consequences of uncertainty, the fear of no deal. Factories were needlessly shut in April, millions of pounds being wasted, jobs have been lost. The spectre of no deal is causing investors to turn away. Global boardrooms are losing confidence and patience. Now, the next Prime Minister will have his own ambitions for Brexit, and we hope a clear plan. But our industry doesn't have the luxury of time. Major investment decisions that will determine the very viability of some plants are becoming due. So we need a deal, and we need it damn quick. Our sector has survived many storms over the past century. The current climate is tough, but our fundamentals remain strong. So there's no reason to believe that we cannot bounce back, just as we did after 2009. So when the new PM steps into number 10, he will have an opportunity to set the economic and trading conditions to help us recover. Now, he must agree a long-term deal with the EU that guarantees frictionless trade and forge new and improved links globally. He must create the most competitive business environment possible, restoring investor confidence in the UK. He can help retrain the workforce to deliver the new skills as we transition towards zero-emission, connected, autonomous vehicles. We need to invest in infrastructure and incentives on which net zero will depend, and continue to work with this sector through an ambitious industrial strategy. So yes, a bright future is definitely possible. The UK can recover its global reputation at a time of immense political, technological and societal transformation. So to end, we'll return once again to the words of Dylan. Come senators, congressmen, please heed our call. He who gets hurt will be he who is stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging, and the times they are a-changing. Thank you very much indeed.